Look, the point I'm trying to make is nobody is born cool. Except, of course.
Hello and welcome. Yes, you read the title correctly. I genuinely believe that The Dangers in My Heart is the best anime to have come out this decade. Jujutsu Kaisen, Frieren, The Apothecary Diaries, Chainsaw Man, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Solo Leveling, Vivi, 86, Rent-a-Girlfriend, all of these are masterpieces. And yet, I still believe that this anime about two cringy middle schoolers fumbling around their feelings for one another is the best anime of all of them. And in this short video, I'm going to go over why I believe so, which is why you should join me as I continue my journey to discover the perfect anime. Part 1. Astrophysics. The universe is extremely vast with countless worlds out there amongst countless galaxies. However, to our knowledge, we're the only planet we've discovered with life. If there are so many worlds where life can exist, then where is everybody? This was a question asked by physicist Enrico Fermi and has now become known as the Fermi Paradox. If so many bountiful worlds exist out there, then where's all the aliens? One possible answer to this paradox is the Great Filter, which states that in order for species to reach interstellar travel and widespread galactic influence, there's a specific hard barrier that must be overcome first. There are many ideas as to what this Great Filter can be and if humanity hasn't passed it yet or already has. Some of these theories include cultivating the land, surviving a global plague, the discovery of fire, harnessing nuclear energy, becoming a Type 1 civilization, colonizing the solar system, or perhaps something we haven't even predicted yet. However, I believe that the true Great Filter is the first 3 episodes of The Dangers in My Heart. Now, I love these episodes. I love all the episodes of this series, but when you first start The Dangers in My Heart, you're probably going to receive some whiplash. I mean, the first song that plays in this series is named Countdown to Death with some cross emojis. You might be thinking you're watching Death Note. We're introduced to Kyotaro Ichikawa, the main protagonist of our story, and he's a bit of a troubled kid. He doesn't want to socialize with the rest of his class and is seemingly only interested in reading murder stories while fantasizing about killing his classmates, including the class idol, Ana Yamada, the main female character of our story. Now, it's pretty apparent right after this intro that Kyo isn't actually a threat. Sure, he has these murder fantasies, but look around him. You've got middle schoolers jumping up and down talking about things middle schoolers talk about. One of the girls even believes that the US two-party system is a superior form of government, which is the most unrealistic thing about this anime. But Kyo's a kid, one who would never act out on any of these twisted delusions. He just doesn't understand his feelings or how to talk to others. Ana sees his box cutter and she doesn't think for a second that he's creepy or interested in causing harm. She just sees him as being resourceful. And the first episode also has perhaps the most embarrassing moment a series can end the first episode with. In fact, when I first watched this, I just sat there wondering what I was even watching. But I think it's incredible. Kyo recognized Ana wasn't comfortable being hit on by Haruya, an upperclassman with a crush on Ana, and we already know he doesn't have the confidence to stand up to him and tell him off at this point, so he decides to do what he did earlier in the episode. He does the first thing he knows that'll take the attention off of Ana and throws his bike into the river. By doing so, he's able to get Ana out of a situation she doesn't want to be in, and I doubt most of the kids around knew what was going on or the point of this, but I'm pretty sure Ana had a good guess. This is just the start of her not only noticing him, but seeing all the amazing sides of Kyo that others, including himself, don't recognize at a first glance. Episode 2 begins with Ana making some and here we set the pace of the story as we gradually see our two leads learn more about one another. Ana's always hiding away from her friends so she can sneak in the library, but Kyo's always willing to join her and even help her out. And the reason why Ana eats her snacks in the library is twofold. One, because snacking is against school rules, and the other because Chihiro, her best friend, is allergic to some of the snacks and she doesn't want to be near her when feasting. But as these two continue their time in the library together, it becomes apparent that they act on impulse for the sake of the other. Kyo with running to grab the water even though Anna already had it taken care of, and she let him smell her fan because it smelled good. As the culture festival draws nearer, the class is setting up their project, a haunted house, and Kyo is suspected for writing Anna's family name on a tombstone, which upsets the rest of the class. He didn't write it. Hara, a classmate and Anna's friend, did so innocently, just writing down common last names. And a quick Google search tells me that Yamada is the 12th most common name in Japan, so it just makes sense she'd think to use it. However, Kyo still decided to take the blame so that others wouldn't think negatively of Hara. If everyone already thinks I'm a creep, then what's the difference here? That kind of philosophy. Anna's the only one who notices and even apologizes since she brought up that it was her name on the tombstone to the rest of the class. Kyo could have gone about not saying anything and let Hara step up and explain, and Anna could have just kept to herself too. But each of them went out of their way to do something for the other. During the culture festival, Haria tries to impress Anna again, but she's got her girls with her and Kyo's there as well. At this point, she's begun to know him more and trusts him to be a safe point away from the guy she doesn't want to be with. One of my favorite things about this series is that the misunderstandings don't lead to petty drama, like in most other rom-coms. It leads to beautiful moments between Kyo and Anna. Kyo just wanted to take a picture of the map, but Anna misunderstands him and instead takes a selfie of the two of them together, which Kyo never thought would have been possible. Come episode 3, we get to see more about Kyo's hobbies. We already know he's a fan of the grimdark, but he's also an aspiring writer. And these days, I'm pretty sure being an isekai author is more lucrative than brain surgeon, so probably a good career path to start on. But this is the episode where the beauty and charm of the series begin to truly shine. So far, the series has had various different small moments and interactions between our two leads and with the rest of the class, but it's all setting up how supportive of one another they each are. This culminates with Anna's injury during basketball. Sure, to many what Kyo does would be seen as creepy, even Kyo believes that, but he goes out of his way to the nurse's office and hides because he cares about her. He doesn't want to see her in pain. Each episode so far, including this one, he's fantasized about her death, but when he actually sees her hurt and bleeding from her nose, he's only thinking about her. He remembers about her upcoming photoshoot too, and how much her job means to her. And when Anna drops his drawing of her, which she not only kept, but kept in a frame, that's when he realizes, in full, that he likes her. And this is only episode 3! Keep in mind, some rom-coms this doesn't even happen in a second season, and we're already at this point. But my favorite part of this episode is the ending. He still thinks any action he'll do for her is creepy, even when he's the only one who feels that way. But leaving out all of the tissue packs for Anna to use, he didn't have to do this, but he still wanted to support her the best way he could. To me, this is when the series truly shows what a beautiful story will unfold here. Now, I've come to love these 3 intro episodes as time has gone on, but my reaction upon watching them the first time was overall confusion. I had never really seen an anime like this before. Sure, I've seen plenty where the loser gets a hot girl or hot guy, and I usually enjoy those, but one where it shows kids this age being that age. TheDangersInMyHeart is one of the most realistic anime I've ever watched. Kyo and Anna are both cringy as can be, but who wasn't at that age? They're in 8th grade, of course they would act on impulse like this and do things others would laugh at. I've seen so many people be hesitant to start the series or drop it, even though if you stick to the 3 episode rule, then by the end of the 3rd episode you should in general be able to guess where this is going. The beginning here is extremely important to set the stage for the rest of the story. Yes, it's going to be cringy. Kyo and Anna are both going to awkwardly interact for 25 episodes while working out their feelings for one another, but that just makes them more likable as characters. They each have their own flaws, but when they're together, they don't see those flaws in the other person. They only see what they love. Kyo is undoubtedly the main character. This isn't an anime like Dandadan where there are 2 main characters so we get to understand their thoughts and feelings directly. We only hear Kyo's internal monologues and see things primarily from his point of view. He's more self-deprecating than any 8th grader should be. He genuinely believes that everyone else in the world views him as a creep, someone not worth paying attention to, when this couldn't be further from the truth. He may be extremely horny. I mean, he nuts in episode 1, but he's at that age. Everyone at that age was like that. that. If you're watching this video, then you were likely a teenager once too, I imagine. Heck, if the personality test in episode 3 is to be believed, then I'm pretty sure Kyo won't survive the first night. I'm sure most people can relate to Kyo in some way or another, unless the Pope is watching this. Having a drive like that at that age is normal, even if it means Kyo thinks less of himself. Overall, he thinks he's a weirdo, a real creep to others, but so much of the story is built around him coming to accept himself more and more. So many times in the series, Kyo will doubt himself again and again, but then Anna comes through as a spark to brighten his day, and either directly or indirectly, he learns things are gonna be okay. The inverse is also true. Kyo is always a support that Anna can rely on. When a teacher brings her to the office to reprimand her for bringing snacks in, her reaction is to say that she didn't throw the wrapper he found away. Normally, a teacher can easily get the truth out of someone playing dumb like this, but Kyo exposes a fallacy in its logic and uses the teacher's perception of Anna's airheadedness to make it clear that she didn't bring in any snacks to the school. Now, we do know that she's always carrying a small cafeteria on her, but Kyo's quick thinking saved her from being chewed out by a teacher. There's so many other instances of Kyo's quick thinking that not only helps out Anna, but further shows what a great guy he is. Even if he doesn't mean exactly what Anna thinks he does, she'll still see him in that light because he's that great of a guy. When he couldn't see the blackboard in front of him because Anna is blocking the view, he could have said anything about her, but instead says that in class, all he sees is her. I can go on and on about how Kyo's such a Chad for all this, but despite him thinking that he's a harmful person and wants to hurt people, he never will act on these thoughts. He's the biggest green flag Anna will ever see. In the beginning, he wanted to see her dead. As he gets to know her and himself, he wants to see her shining bright, her smiling. And as she clearly becomes more and more interested in him, much more than just friends, he wonders just how someone like him could ever be with Anna. Isn't she out of his league? But no, Kyo, you're the highest ranked player. But love isn't a one-way street. Even though we see the story from Kyo's perspective, Anna is still her own person. We never know her thoughts directly, which is a bit of a lie because she says whatever's on her mind pretty often. But still, we know the exact moment Kyo falls in love with Anna. We don't know the exact moment that Anna falls in love with him. I've seen a lot of people debate on when they think this was, since it's clear that when she fell for him, she fell just as hard as he did for her. But for me, I think she started thinking he was interesting back in episode 1. He wasn't like the other kids in class, and she definitely noticed what he was doing with the bike back then. I don't think this is where she fell in love with him, just that she noticed he's a great guy. But then there's a school field trip, and when he buys her the bottle of milk tea is when I believe that she falls in love with him. Once again, Kyo thinks doing this is extremely creepy, but Anna doesn't feel that way at all. She wasn't crying because she was left alone with him. She was crying because she had gotten separated from the rest of their group. Just a simple gesture of buying the milk tea was Kyo telling her everything is going to be okay. And this milk tea bottle is the same one that she kept in her room and was embarrassed for Kyo to see in season 2. Each of them have kept artifacts related to the other throughout the series, but there's a specific one that begins their feelings for each other. For Kyo, it's the magazine that she's in back in episode 1, but for Anna, it's this. And each time they don't want the other to realize what they have, leads into one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see. Once again, misunderstandings lead to only positive outcomes in this anime. But Anna has her own ways of showing she trusts Kyo too and even wants to look out for him. Earlier in the field trip, she noticed how interested he is in the manga panels but was too afraid to speak up. So she takes him by the hand, leading him to the land that he understands. Manga Man, the voyage to the corner of the studio is a school trip. Manga Man, the Kabedon of Anna imbibed her plans, soaking up the thirst of her man. Manga Man! You gotta love how she's willing to look after him, which is what caused him to be left alone in the first place since he had to use the bathroom. Another example of her showing how much she thinks about him is when she gets a movie role. It's a small role and she only has one line, but it involves calling someone else a creep. Despite being just one line, she knows that she should still get some practice in. But when it's just her and Kyo alone in a cramped room together, she decides not to tell him the line. She knows how he sees himself, but she doesn't see him that way. Which leads into what I believe is the central theme of this story. That in order to love someone else, you must first love yourself. Episode 9 is my favorite episode of Season 1, and it's where I fully realized that this anime was a masterpiece. The episode builds up what you'd think would be the central conflict of Anno wanting Kyo's line number, but in reality the conflict revolves around Kyo believing that Anna is just using him in order to avoid Haruya. Why wouldn't he think this way? After all, everyone just sees him as the loner creep that he is. No one would ever want to actually get his line info, except Moeko, to have genuine conversations with the guy. At the very least, that's what he thinks. We see this in another way with his past and how he didn't want a Nintendo Switch despite playing the demo for it for 2 hours. Anytime he wants something, he doesn't want to accept that. He's so afraid that things won't work out. He's so hardwired to only think of the worst outcome or situation possible. We know by now how he struggles with his self-worth and how much anxiety he has on a daily basis just by how he perceives others' views of him. And these feelings are so hard to convey for anyone, let alone a middle schooler. Anna's afraid he's ignoring her and doesn't want to be with her anymore. So when she cries, she pulls out the same pack of tissues that Kyo left out for her back in episode 3. It's come full circle now. She didn't need to keep it for all this time, but she did. She doesn't see Kyo the way he's afraid she does. And after her hug, he accepts her. Miscommunication can ruin any relationship, romantic or otherwise. Deep-seated self-doubt, anxiety, pressure, all from a misunderstanding. Nobody here is in the wrong, but what they do to come out of it is so simple. Sometimes you just need to talk it out, and sometimes you just need a warm hug. That's how I view this series. A conflict like this could have been stretched out for far longer than it needed to be. How many issues could be worked out by just confronting and comforting through them? These two are so young, so foolish, but growing. They've never had these feelings for someone else before and are still trying to process them. It's going to be a while before they're ready to confirm them fully, but it's best to hash out any potential issues before they bloom. However, Kyo isn't the only one with insecurities. The central theme of this show is apparent with Anna too. Season 2 does a great job focusing more on Anna's past and her thoughts and feelings. For much of Season 1, we're led to believe that she's a bit of an airhead, but one with great empathy and cheer. However, in episode 14, we learn that she, like Kyo, has a lot of insecurity, which is to be expected of someone this age, especially one with as much popularity and attention as her. She's tried out many different activities since she was young, but would quit shortly after realizing that there's someone better than her in each of them. However, her parents never put pressure on her to stay in or to quit. In fact, whenever she did drop out, she would be treated with cake and supported by her parents. But all along, she's come to fear that what if others start to see her as a burden? She's become afraid of relying on others and the kindness they've shown her and isn't sure if they'd ever tell her that she's taken advantage of them until it's too late. Much of this episode is a role reversal of episodes 9 and 12 in Season 1. This time, it's Kyo's turn to give her a hug when she needs it the most, especially since in the previous episode, she learned that Kyo broke his arm while trying to do something for her. But with the hug, he apologizes and clears up any sort of misunderstanding. He's able to reveal his own insecurities too and make it clear he never once thought she was a burden on him. Kyo also reveals a counterpoint to what Anna is thinking. Perhaps the reason her parents treated her when she quit things is because they wanted her to keep trying new things. Having someone else listen to you and come up with an idea you hadn't thought of is extremely impactful. And these two are able to keep supporting each other because of this. Despite how many of her activities she's quit before, she's kept modeling. Yes, there are others she gets to know who are further along the modeling path than her, but it's because Kyo told her that she did like her job that she kept doing it. Kyo knows that if she did quit her modeling job, she'd just be a normal middle school girl, one that he would be able to spend more time with. But that isn't the Anna he fell in love with. The Anna he fell in love with was the Anna who loves her modeling job and wants to improve at it. And the Kyo that Anna fell in love with is the one who does believe in himself. And Kyo does believe in himself. Would he have accepted the teacher's request to give the speech to the middle school's graduation ceremony for their outbound upperclassmen if he didn't? Sure, he went along with it because he wanted to show Anna what he's really capable of, but for someone who has struggled this much with anxiety, it's still a Herculean task. Especially when he forgets his speech. Now, I know the simple solution would have been to ask Kana to just take a picture of it when she found it and he could read it off his phone or write it down real quick, but regardless, that doesn't make this episode any less impactful. He's going to have to wing it, and as unsure as he is about it, he's approached by Nigorikawa, a personification of his internal thoughts, who makes it clear to him who loves him the most. The one who loves him the most is himself. Not Anna, not anyone else. He truly does love himself more than anyone ever could. And with this, he's ready to give one of the greatest speeches I've ever seen in anime. It feels like the entire show has been building up to this moment, and it was here that I realized that this might actually be the best anime. And if that wasn't enough, the episode gets even better. Kyo faints and is brought to the infirmary, and after Anna greets him, Haruya comes over to confess to her. He wants to give her his top button, which is something graduating middle schooler boys give to their crushes. But she responds with, her hands are full, as she's holding the Inu keychain that Kyo got for her, and shuts him down by telling him that she likes someone else. We've known this all along, but now both Anna and Kyo realize that they do like each other. And I realize why this show is called The Dangers in My Heart. Because my heart is in danger. This was one of the most beautiful episodes of anime I've ever seen. But it isn't even the most beautiful episode of this series. And now I am going to enter major spoiler territory for the season 2 finale here. But we've been waiting to see how these two properly confess their feelings all this time. We know they like each other, and they know they like each other. Come the school trip, however, it almost seems like it wouldn't be the right time to confess since Anna is giving up being able to go to an audition that she had been working really hard for just so she can make sure that Kyo enjoys the school trip, since he didn't go to his school trip back in elementary school. She's losing part of herself for Kyo, but Kyo understands that this isn't the best outcome for either of them. A real loving relationship isn't based off of sacrificing nor compromising. You should want all of someone else. And as the two walk through the torii gates, Kyotaro Ichikawa tells her exactly how he feels. He's made friends when he thought he never would. He's seen how beautiful this world truly is, and he made the decision to come to this school trip on his own. But Anna was the one who showed him how much he loves himself and the world around him, as he confesses to her. We're not able to get a response just yet, but later on, she asks him to come visit their usual spot, the library, where it all began. And Anna Yamada tells him what's on her mind. She was able to audition for the role, and she does love herself too. Kyo was the one to allow her to realize what she does love in life, and he's more important to her than anyone, as she confesses her feelings. It's amazing that Kyo went from just wanting to be a part of her life to being the most shining part of it all. It's amazing that Anna still auditioned for the role she wanted and was able to spend time with the one she loves the most. And it's amazing that such a perfect adaptation of an incredible love story was made. And it may just be, after all this time, the perfect anime.